The fastest way to change your life. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Spiritual Psychotherapy Podcast. I am delighted that you have joined me here today. As always, I am your host, Jennifer Sneeden. And this episode, it sort of woke me up at 4:48 this morning, begging to be recorded. So, who am I to argue with an imperative like that? Today, we are talking about the fastest way to change your life, to change, literally change the world around you. And before I dive into how to do that, I want to talk a minute about how we came to be the way we are in terms of learning how to be in the world. Because the way you are in the world, who you are in the world, is literally creating the world around you, right? When you have a negative or a lack or a scarcity focus, you are moment by moment, day by day, month by month, creating lack and scarcity. That's not what you want. So we got to get you out of that, really what boils down to be a bad habit, and into the habit that's going to create the life that you want for yourself. So let me start by going back several thousand years ago and talk about how this pattern really came to be, how this habit really came to be. When when you imagine looking at the world for everything that's going wrong, this was a powerful survival technique at one point. We had to constantly scan our worlds to look for things that were wrong. This water doesn't smell quite right. Let's not drink it. There's a mountain lion over here. Let's move. There's a winter storm coming. We need to take shelter really quickly, right? We had to notice problems. We had to notice things that were out of place. We had to notice things that we did not like because that was our ability to respond to them and stay alive. It made sense to notice what was wrong and alert the tribe. We had to alert everybody around us, right? If somebody was sick, we had to let everybody know so that their job responsibilities could be taken over by somebody else. So at that point in time, it made a lot of sense to be somebody who could see what was wrong in the world around them and share that news and comment on it to others. It's an evolutionary mechanism and it's a really, really good one. However, I want you to ask yourself, is that still necessary today in your life? Is it still necessary that you be constantly scanning for dangers and threats and reporting out on them to the world or social media or your family or whomever it is? Chances are that's not what makes the most sense for you anymore, because chances are you're no longer in a survival world. You're in a success world. And that skill that kept us alive for generation after generation for thousands of years, it's a skill that we've moved beyond. Because now what's happening is we're not faced with those day to day threats and dangers. We've moved beyond the need for survival. However, not every family has gotten this message yet, right? There's this concept of seventh generational thinking where a lot of the beliefs that you hold today, a lot of the patterns of thought that you hold today, we can trace them back 7 generations. That's your great, 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 great grandparents, I think, and think about the world that they lived in. Chances are there was still a lot of survival base in there. Is there going to be enough food? Are we going to be able to keep all of the children alive through the winter? Is there a war? Is somebody going to come crashing through our front door with guns, right? It was a very different world 7 generations ago. So we may trace back and find that this thinking was really useful even back 7 generations ago to look for problems and be focused on the problems and then alerting out the news to everybody. For most people, that is not the case. And it's simply become a learned habit. We learn it from our mothers, who learned it from her mother, who learned it from her mother, and so on down the line. And the thing is, we learn this when we're so young that our conscious mind hasn't even developed yet. So we learned it when we were in an early age, basically an hypnotic state where we just accept everything as truth. And we just believe that's the way we should be because that's the way our mothers would be. And we said without even conscious awareness of it, oh, okay, I see what we do. We look at everything that could go wrong. We worry about the future. We fear for the future. This is how we are in the world, right? And for some of you, there may also be this message of, if I do this, I'm never going to get hurt. I'm never going to get disappointed. I'm never going to have my hopes dashed. If I never get my hopes up, I can never get hurt. But here's what your mother didn't know, and what you may still be discovering for yourself. By constantly scanning your world for problems, by noticing and commenting on and preparing for problems, you are creating more of that which you do not want. Because what we understand now is that what we notice, we get more of. When you notice it's awful traffic on your drive to work today, you are literally programming yourself for more bad traffic. When you notice that your partner didn't come home again last night, you are literally programming yourself for more of those experiences. Now, we can think of it in a spiritual context by looking at it through the frame of vibration, right? When you're in a fear-based vibration, you are calling to you more fear-based events and circumstances and conditions in your life. You are radiating out a vibration of fear, and that which comes back to you is bringing more fear to you. We can also understand it in a law of attraction perspective, where law of attraction is constantly matching us up with things that we are asking for. And what we don't realize is when we are noticing the negative, we're actually asking law of attraction for more of that negative. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's just the way law of attraction works. When we're focusing on um, I might get fired. I might get fired. I might get fired. I don't want to get fired. I hope I don't get fired. I hope I don't get fired. We're not actually focusing on keeping our job. We're focusing on being fired, and we're calling to us more of that. But even if for the purpose of this conversation, even if we want to take the spiritual side out of it, we are wired in our brain through our reticular activating systems to connect with more of that which we are noticing. So the reticular activating system connects the conscious and the unconscious parts of your brain or your mind. And when we are noticing things in the world around us, we are actually sending a message to our unconscious mind that we want more of that. So we're saying we're looking for this. If we see a blue car and we comment on it, we're sending our unconscious mind a message that says more blue cars, more blue cars. Now, the unconscious is not capable of rationalizing or making discriminating choices. So all it can do is respond to it and say, got it, more of this. So your unconscious mind begins to actually create more of those experiences where you encounter that thing. You've become a vibrational match to that thing in many cases that you do not want. You're creating more of it and more of it and more of it. And you're trying your hardest to get rid of it, less of it, less of it, less of it. But you're accidentally creating more and more and more of it. So when you are focused on your partner's shortcomings, you think you're focusing on your partner's shortcomings as a way to have a better relationship, when in fact, you're focusing on your partner's shortcomings and creating more of those shortcomings. The way to change this is begin to look for the things that you do want in your life. No matter how bad your life is right now, you are surrounded by things that you do want: a comfortable bed, air conditioning when it's hot out, delicious coffee to help you get going in the morning. You are constantly surrounded by so many things that you want. And by noticing those things, everything begins to change, because when I think about, oh my gosh, it's so nice to wake up to a delicious cup of coffee made in my French press, and the aroma of it is just incredible, and the taste is incredible. Now my reticular activating system gets the message, oh, I got it. You want more delicious things that delight you. Yes. Okay. So now my unconscious mind goes to work at a vibrational level and creates more of those experiences for me. It does take some work. Most people have never realized that they are creating their world by what they comment on. So once you realize that, now you're going to hear yourself complaining about how much your kids fight, and you're going to stop it, because you're going to know that as you complain about your kids fighting, you are actually creating more of it. So when you complain about your kids fighting, your unconscious mind gets the message that that's what you want more of. And vibrationally, you put yourself on guard for more fighting. But you don't realize you're actually creating situations where you're going to notice more fighting. And in some cases, you may inadvertently create the fight because you're programming what you don't want into your world. So, what I want you to do is start with something really easy. Make the decision that you're going to notice something that's easy to notice. Red cars. My son loves to do this one. We're actually, when we're driving in the car, he'll say, I think we're going to see a red Corvette pretty soon. And sure enough, we do, right? He has clearly defined what it is he wants to see. He sort of programs that intention. And sure enough, we create or we manifest or we see a red car in very short order. You can do this with white flowers. You can do this with ants. You can do this with whatever it is that you want. But notice, once you make the intention, once you set the decision to see more of these things, how they flood into your experience in powerful ways. Start here. This is a baby step, because what you need to first understand is the connection between your conscious intention, your conscious words, and what comes into your reality. Once you see how it works, this power will literally change your life. You begin to notice little flashes where what you want actually works. You notice your kids are getting along well with each other. You notice that my son the other day, he's 16. He took the garbage out without being asked. He just saw that it was full, he took it out, and I was absolutely blown away. And these are the experiences that when you notice them, you give power to them and you draw more of them into your life. You always get more of what you're noticing. It's just the way we're wired. So if you can find little tiny things throughout your day to notice that you really, really want, you're going to change things so quickly. And I promise that you are there. Excuse me, that they are there. If you can't see them, it's simply because you are so conditioned to look for the negative that you've got blinders on about the positive. That's okay. Stick with this. It's going to work. And when it does, you're going to be absolutely amazed at how quickly things change for you. It's a very powerful change. You will approach your world in a very different way. You'll get new experiences that you never imagined. And it all begins with the very simple choice to notice what is going well in the world around you. Thanks, guys. I will see you in the next episode.